Hello, and welcome to the Ninja Legion, and we present to you the very first episode of Circle of Jerks. I am Cecil Blade.
I'm D.
I'm P-Chan.
Spider. I don't know why I felt
And
to do that.
let me give you a brief explanation of Circle of Jerks. Basically, we have our producers give a certain topic, and then we all set about arguing with each other, trying to earn points to whoever makes the most valid, logical, sane.
So there won't be many points awarded.
No,
Exactly.
there won't be any points awarded.
Exactly.
And what do we get? Whoever has the most points? Not a damn thing.
Respect. Or lack thereof.
Yeah, I'm going to say lack
Or-
thereof is going to be the word.
No.
I
So,
thought bird was the word.
Bird is the word.
oh dear
Oh,
God.
bird.
Anyway, let's
No,
not get it.
no. So, our producer tonight is the captain. And he has given us a topic for this evening.
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
Because clearly, Square never figured out what final meant.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason behind the name
Yeah.
Final Fantasy. It was their
Hold it. Save it.
Man, the producer has spoken.
All right, get
Wabba.
this thing going.
All right.
Damn right.
What's our first area, producer?
Best storyline.
Oh, best storyline. Who we starting with?
Spider.
Ooh, best storyline. That's a tough one. I always have to argue that 6 is the best Final Fantasy, while not being my favorite. I still think it is the best one overall. The story plays out really well in it.
No.
So,
Yeah, I would actually have to agree with you. I think 6 is the best storyline, hands down.
I would have to argue.
No?
You're going to argue with us no matter what.
While 6 is my favorite, I would argue that Final Fantasy Tactics, the one no one played, is actually the best story. It's got drama, it's got betrayal, and it ramps itself up, and it gets better as you go along.
Hey,
It
yo,
even starts
Kanye.
off-
What's going on?
You shut your whore mouth.
I ain't shutting anything.
But Tactics. Tactics definitely had the best story. It's got everything. It's basically Game of Thrones in a tactical RPG.
It is true that, yes, there is a lot of...
I bet it lacks tits.
But it doesn't lack chocobos, so.
Yeah. I think 4 is the best storyline. I've played that so many times. I love the characters. Yes, there's one that I just can't really stand, but besides that, the rest of the story is really good, and I like how they set up everything. The only thing that sort of shakes me is the very end.
The moon?
Yeah, the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I'm sorry, when you're teleporting to the moon, I'll get Frank Sinatra in there. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
does that make him Sammy Davis Jr.?
Just pointing out, D gets 3 points for that.
That's awesome.
This feels like playing Mario Party all over again.
No, you gotta do this constantly.
That's the goal, though, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
supposed
Oh
to
my
feel like
God.
that.
Yep. Well,
I'm
this is
robbing
Circle
you a
of
coin.
Jerks, come on.
I'm robbing you a coin. What do you got?
Sons of a bitch. Pity stars.
Yahtzee. No.
That's exactly what happened.
So storyline, you think 4? I like 4 is a good runner-up, but I still think you're wrong. And the thing is, if we're gonna go back to 6, you gotta play the original, not the remake. Where
Oh, yeah.
you gotta memorize the opera, you gotta memorize all that crap.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Which
So-
was a bitch.
Oh yeah.
I had to write it down.
At freaking 8, that was a terrible, terrible thing to do.
I remember actually beating that, and then finally, while the opera's going on, fighting all the rats, trying to chew through the lines. And I just remember
Yep.
that was harder than it really needed to be for me as a kid.
Wait, rats? Are you sure it's rats? I thought that was Chrono Trigger.
No, that was Final Fantasy
Are
VI.
you sure?
Yes, because right after that, you get the airship.
That's true. You
Ha-ha.
did it.
1 point for P-Chan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mustachio.
No, Chrono Trigger, you chased rats.
Yeah, no,
Yes,
you,
yes.
you killed them.
chased
in
rats.
6. But no, I'm still going Final Fantasy Tactics.
And I think you're wrong because it's a terrible game.
It is not a
It is
terrible
not
game.
a terrible game. It
I-
just has
I have
tactics.
attempted to
do
play
not
it
like
3
tactics.
times and failed.
It's got
the story can't keep me. The gameplay can't keep me. Tactics is
because
terrible.
It was the first Square Enix RPG that didn't baby you. It had a steep learning curve.
Excuse
and
me?
The only way
Whoa.
to stay with it, only way to get good at it was to stay with it and learn from your errors. It also had one of the best class systems on the planet.
No. Final Fantasy V had the best class system on the planet.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did.
It did
The
not.
remake had the best class variety, but the job system as a whole,
It was still there. You can't blame it.
I mean, I could be a
look at the most
samurai,
popular
a
JRPG
ninja,
right now,
a
Bravely
thief.
Default.
Yeah.
Uses 5 systems.
Tactics and then Tactics Advance and A2 had
What's the difference
just
between
so
A2
much-
and Tactics
But it
2?
had a
Hold
water.
it.
Producer.
We've gone off the topic of storylines.
True.
true.
So, your next topic is not class systems. Who had the best villain?
Final Fantasy
6?
Six.
We can't even
We
argue.
can't
this.
argue
we
that.
can't. Okay, no.
Kafka is the
How-
best.
With producers,
You still have to give me why.
but
He was the Joker of Final Fantasy.
he was the most evil. He had the best plots.
He actually
No.
succeeded in most of his
He
goals.
he destroyed the world.
Yeah.
He
Poisoned the
successfully
castle,
Yeah.
destroys
destroyed
the
the
world.
world.
Sephiroth was a bitch. He couldn't even get his job done.
That's true.
That's true. I give him that.
Yeah, he could.
Everyone's like, Sephiroth was
A
the
good
best.
son would've
Sephiroth
known.
is not the best. And Sin sucked in 10.
Yeah,
Sin was
absolutely.
a joke of a villain.
Yeah.
Seymour was a better villain in 10 than Sin
Yes.
was.
Yeah,
Agreed.
No, absolutely.
Agreed.
And that was only because Seymour just made you hate him.
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Seymour was a wannabe Kefka. Seymour really wished he could be Kefka, and he
Yeah.
just couldn't live up to it.
That's true, but at least they.
He
It was sort of
And
a
I'm-
throwback
and
to Kafka.
Yeah, it kind
and,
of is.
and let's face it. What villain in Final Fantasy allowed you to use all 16 characters in your arsenal to take them on? No other game allowed that.
No, it's true. That's
You
very
could
true.
use you could max all your characters out. I had all my characters maxed out, all 16 of them. Even Go-Go.
You can use everyone
remember
except for
Go-Go.
Shadow.
Well,
You know.
actually, with the
you-
shifting system in 10, you could shift out your party
You could.
with that, and you could use all of your characters to fight against Sin.
Yes,
Yes.
but in 6 you had blocks. You rearranged your prearranged blocks. And once your party failed, your next party come into play.
Yeah.
And it's just constantly beating. You were never going to get away from 6
I will say
without losing a party or two at the end fight.
Not only did 6 have the most memorable end boss, but the game also has some of the best in-game bosses. Like you remember them along the Ghost Train.
Oh, the Ghost Train was awesome.
The Squid. It had such memorable levels, characters, and bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never say, "Well, I played who was the best bad guy." Well, yeah, we know it was Kafka, but the mini bosses along the way, you can't forget any of the Final Fantasy sixes. I couldn't go through any other Final Fantasy and tell you all the mini bosses. Couldn't even begin to.
Yeah,
At all.
very true.
I mean, people always say, "Oh, I love Final Fantasy 7." I'm like, name more than Sephiroth as far as bosses go.
Yeah,
I mean,
they can't-
Airbuster.
Airbuster.
Yeah.
That was about
And
it.
you can't include the weapons because they're in pretty much every
Yeah,
game.
the weapons are
Right.
part of everything.
I mean, if you're gonna say it like that, then Final Fantasy 6 wins hands down for bosses in general.
I was gonna say 8 being my favorite. I can name other villains in 8.
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
When you have-
But I
when
couldn't
you
tell
have
you.
to go
I
and
couldn't
fight,
name.
like,
I
Tonberry
couldn't name
King
other
and
villains in
Raijin
9.
and Fujin
Yeah.
and Cypher.
The only other Final Fantasy I can name
Griever.
villains in is 4. The Great Guinan Sisters.
right. Wow.
Nope.
Thought
And
about that
I'll
in a
tell you
while.
what, they made a reappearance in 10.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
They
Ooh.
were summoned.
Yeah.
Biggs. Wedge.
Wedge.
Delta,
Biggs and Wedge.
Delta.
Biggs
Biggs
and
and
Wedge.
Wedge. That's not villains.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
In some games, they were villains.
yeah.
He, absolutely the only one that can officially say he destroyed the world.
True. He's the
Hands
only
down.
one who's won.
Now,
No, what?
Final Fantasy II, the Emperor. He destroyed. He turned it into pandemonium. He got away with it.
No, see, but he didn't destroy the world.
No, but that wasn't his goal. Kefka's goal was to destroy the world. The Emperor's goal was not to destroy the world, but to make his own world. He turned the world inside out and made pandemonium. That is
Yes, but it wasn't
destroying
he.
what the current world
But
is.
but he had no control
Judge is
over
ruling.
it. He had
He's
no
correct. Shut up, Cecil.
no. He had no control. He had no control over it. Therefore,
Cecil, you're
it
muted
wasn't
for 30
his
seconds.
world.
You can't talk for 30 seconds.
he didn't have control over the monsters, but he didn't care about that.
Raise the roof.
Yeah, suck it.
Next topic. Best supporting character.
Character?
Character or characters?
I'll give you multiple.
Multiple.
I'd say Final Fantasy VII. I mean, you can't. It's one of the few you had
Why?
because you remember them after the story, and if you lose one of them, I mean, when you lost Aerith, Eris, depending on who you are, that actually hurt.
Not me. I couldn't stand that bitch.
Well,
I'm sorry. I could not stand Aerith.
No.
I was happy when she was dead. It was like, oh, well, she can come back and you do this. No. I don't need Aerith. I didn't like her from the beginning. Tifa's my main bitch.
Tifa.
That's
Barret-
because she had a big gold pair of titties.
No, because she was competent. She was useful.
That's true.
I mean, I get Aerith was supposed to be the white mage and everything, and white mage is great and all.
Red-
But at least Tifa can hold herself in a fight.
Cat
That's
Sith,
true.
Red 13,
Yeah, you
Vincent.
had, you
they're
had
all
other characters that could white mage for you.
7 did not have the greatest supporting roles.
I completely agree with that.
No.
They
I
had
think
better
4
little
had the greatest supporting roles.
Why?
Pomp and Porn sacrificed themselves.
True.
Okay, was it Talitha? What was his name?
Which
Crap.
one?
The old the old
Oh, the old
sage.
wizard. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the
He
old wizard.
sacrificed himself by casting Meteor.
Yes.
Who else?
And
Ro-
and failed in the end.
and failed. Edge sacrificed himself at the end.
Did he?
Sid sacrificed the airship in
Sid
him.
did sacrifice the airship himself. He crashed.
And I
it.
think Rosa sacrificed herself in the end.
So are we weighing best supporting cast
but they
by
all
how many
died?
people
That's
kill
true.
themselves
Yeah.
trying to be useful?
The-
I
just
feel like a
because-
good
just
supporting
because they
cast would
all
actually
killed
stick
themselves
around
doesn't
and
mean
be
they're
continue
supportive.
to be useful
I say
instead.
Final Fantasy VII because when
It
you
had a
say
black guy in it.
supporting cast because they
My
actually
name
had to
Barrett
support
Watson.
Cloud because Cloud was a pathetic
You
character.
two guys have made your arguments.
Okay.
What's yours?
You know, as much as anyone might hate me for that, 10.
Agreed.
10 has a great supporting cast.
I love
because
10.
each one of the characters that's there in support of Titus has a role. They show him something. They teach him something along the way,
Right.
and he wouldn't be able to get to where he ends up
And
without all of those characters.
And even though Titus was a bit of a bitch,
No, absolutely, but we're not talking about main
that-
characters. We're
right,
talking
about
about supporting
supporting
cast.
I will concede to your point if you threw in the Moogle that held up freaking Luna's tits. Not Luna's tits.
Lulu's.
Lulu's tits.
Oh, one of her little the
Yeah.
Moogle dolls. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of those at home. That's how much I love that thing.
no,
Yeah.
but I would have to agree with 10 as well, just because you have.
You have your archetypes and everything. I
Right.
mean, I love Riku as the thief
Yes.
character in the game. She's great. She's entertaining.
I love
Lulu is a
just 'cause-
black mage.
That-
Just the whole, just very serious
Right,
all the
but-
time to counterbalance it.
And I guess even though we're making the argument for 10, you have to sort of go, and as many people are going to hate this, go into 10-2's sort of backstory behind the characters.
hell no.
On how they advanced beyond 10.
It does flesh out those characters a little bit more. And
ignoring
at
the gameplay, the base backstory.
Okay, I'll give you
at
that.
least Yuna as a white mage gave you more than just being a white mage.
Right,
She
being
was
the
also
summoner
a
was
summoner,
awesome.
which made her useful beyond just healing.
Yes.
Point for Spider.
Well, I mean, if you're going to
Even
really,
if she did
if
suffer
you-
from white mage syndrome and had to jump off of something.
Granted, 10, I will agree with you. 10 probably has. I will concede and say 10 has the better supporting cast. But if you're going to go there, if you play your cards right, 5 has the best supporting cast. You could absolutely
5?
do. Yes, because you can have any character be any class. And if you play your cards right,
But that's the jobs. So you could do the same thing in 12. 12 with the sphere grid, you could make every character do
You
everything.
need 10 with the
Okay.
sphere grid?
No. 12. Well, they had
12
their own
12
sphere.
had their
was
own sphere
It was
system,
their
yes.
own unique take on the sphere grid. Anyway, you could have them. By the end of the game, you could have them have everything except for the summons, which you had to allot to a single character the moment you got them.
exactly.
Which is anyway, but you could have everybody be everything. So one of the final bosses, one of the final haunts had like 68 million hit points. You had to have all 3 people all be full-on tanking warriors just to beat the thing.
yes.
But it's the fact that you could constantly rotate them. You could have them. You could have them have any combination of abilities, not just.
Do we
limited
really
by
want to
the
bring
class
12
name.
into this? Because 12, I can completely beat that game by simply with a rubber band and an eraser and just go.
Yeah, but that's off topic.
Okay,
To be fair,
I
you
just
can do that with 10, 2, and 10 also.
Yes.
true. Anything
But-
beyond 10, you can possibly do that.
Anything beyond 9, you can do that.
No, 9, you can't do that.
What is it? Beyond 9.
Beyond 9,
Yeah.
yes.
No, except for 11, but that's a whole separate.
MMOs
ballgame.
don't count.
14.
11 and 14 don't count.
All right, producer.
Let's see. You brought it up before. Best starships.
Airships.
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 Airships. My bad.
Ooh, best airship. That's a tough one because the earlier games don't really go into a lot of mechanics.
That's true.
Of
They
the
just, They
airships.
just have the airship existing, so you can fly from one place to the other without having
Yeah.
to
Best
use the
airship,
waterways.
Chocobo.
I'll allow it.
To be honest, I don't really care much about the airships. They let me go around the world map. You know which one has the worst airship? 13. Because it doesn't exist for the first 40 hours of the game.
Yeah.
That has the worst airship.
And even if though it's a reject from Star Wars,
Going back to Final Fantasy IV, the whale.
the
The whale is an airship. You fly around on the main planet, and then you can go to the moon with it and fly around on the moon with it. It is an airship, despite it not being mechanical. It is a magical, awesome whale.
flying whale. I understand
And-
that, and I'm going to say no. Did Sid build it?
Peach Hand's over here shaking his head. I feel like he wants to weigh in on this a little bit.
No, he doesn't.
No, he's already got. He's
You
already
know
made
what?
his point with Chocobo.
I have to say, I'm going to have to go with the high wing.
High wind?
High wing.
High wing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not high wing. Excuse me. That's the only thing in 7 I'm going to give credit
Why?
for.
Why?
But why?
Because of its speed, it could outmaneuver all the other airships. It was completely helium-based with no propellers and engine systems. It was fantastic. And it ran on the Mako reactor system.
Basically, call him the Hindenburg.
It didn't blow up. It wasn't done by Germans. It was done by Japanese.
Bazinga.
Stolen and renamed.
So flying Hiroshima.
Oh,
Oh,
Doc points.
For 30 seconds, you lose 3 points.
Oh,
That was messed up, sir.
but switch subjects.
Yeah, I guess we need a new one here.
Go to a quick one. Favorite victory music?
Final Fantasy
Wait,
VI. You know that music anywhere.
yeah.
Final
that's
Fantasy
true.
VI. Also the
6.
best battle music. Final Fantasy VI.
Throw in battle music with it then.
No,
think we have disagreements.
no, I think we do have disagreements because I don't think 6 has the best battle music.
My absolute favorite battle music, Final Fantasy, the man with the machine gun from Final Fantasy.
Absolutely.
That's the best one. And it sucks because you don't get it through most of the game. You only get it when you
During
get to
that
play
certain
with
story
when you
arc.
play with Laguna
During
Pyrrhus
that-
and Ward.
Exactly.
You get that battle music, and that is
And
my,
the thing is,
that is the best.
That
battle
is,
music.
you know what it is by name. It's not Final Fantasy victory music. It's not Final Fantasy battle music. You know that is the man with the machine gun.
To be fair, 7 is those who fight further.
True, but you can
And
you can recognize
7
both.
is also great
Yes.
fight music.
True.
But I mean,
but
there's nothing.
The man with the machine gun, my
Hands down.
favorite one.
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay.
I got nothing. Still Final Fantasy VI for me.
Why?
What? Because you can hear the first 2 notes of it and immediately know where it's from. It's classic. It's Nobuo Uematsu at its best. Like you could be anywhere. You could be on your deathbed. You'd be like, oh, Final Fantasy VI. It's that good. It's my ringtone
I can do that
for a
really
reason.
right. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Which
5,
one-
6.
I'm trying to think which one had the battle on the big bridge.
That was 5.
Yeah, I would have to say 5.
That was 5.
That's like the one that just sticks out in my head. Then the rest of the music just sort of came with
The,
it.
the clash on the big bridge
Yeah.
is a
a good
really
piece.
good one.
Then again, anything done by the Black Mages.
Nobu.
Nobuo
Nobu,
Uematsu.
yeah.
You
but,
can't.
Yeah.
You know,
You
but
can't.
re-
You'll
redone
never
by
beat
Black Mages
Nobu.
is
No,
just
he is the
awesome.
Japanese John Williams.
Yeah.
I'd say he's way beyond John Williams' stature, to be perfectly honest.
All right, off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad
No,
Peach Hand.
I will. I'll still argue 8's Man with the Machine Gun. I agree with Spider, hands down the best.
I have the Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack on my phone, all 4 discs. Like, that's how much I love that soundtrack.
Nerd.
Yeah, I also have all 3 Black Mages albums.
So do I.
You know who doesn't
On
care
my
about black mages? George Bush.
Wow.
Oh, that's miserable.
I'm going to give you the category that you want.
What?
Class systems.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh God.
I'm still going to stick with my guns. 5 still has the best class system of... No, I take that back. If we're going to stay in the Final Fantasy realm, Dissidia has the best class system of all of them.
Why?
Dramatic pause.
Yes. No, Dissidia allows you to take all your favorite characters, okay, and use the entire class system across the board. So you could actually take 5's class system, well, tweaked, obviously, for Dissidia, and apply them across the board.
That's all well and good, but Dissidia was on PSP, and who the fuck cares?
All right, fine.
Who's
You
playing it?
You honestly want the best class system? I'm gonna get shot.
Womp womp.
Fucking dress spheres.
Yes. Thank you for
10-2?
somebody saying "Dress Me Up, Barbie" was
Charlie-
the best class system ever.
Charlie's
yes.
Angels is the best class system ever. To be able to be mid battle and go
Change class.
change class.
Yes.
How many times have you wanted that in Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy? where you
Any
couldn't do it?
Final Fantasy,
Well,
all of them.
Well, 7, 8, 9, you really couldn't do that with.
I would-
They didn't,
matter.
they didn't have class systems
Yeah.
in
I'd
those.
really like to be a tank right now.
yeah.
Boom, there you are,
only-
Dark Knight.
Yeah. 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 10-2.
I still have
That's
to go.
the only good thing that came out of 10-2.
To be fair, it's also a class system that you don't have to work at all because you can rubber band your controller, run into a corner and max out a dress sphere, change dress spheres, max out another one, and then it's a no effort thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's awesome and all that you can do that and you can switch mid battle, but it requires no effort to be good with it.
Now, if we're gonna go with having it a little bit more complex, 5 definitely, because once you beat the final part of the game, you're stuck. There's only one place you can really truly level any of your classes, and it takes forever to
Yeah.
grind any of them.
I still say tactics. It had a wide range, and you could cater that system to anyone's play
The
style.
only problem with tactics and the advance was the fact that the classes were limited to the race they were. That you
Which
couldn't
makes
be,
it
you
no-
couldn't be a red mage as a human. You couldn't be a ninja as another. You could only be ninjas as humans. You could
True,
only be this.
but
you
it
know,
also made you rethink your roster and your style of play.
No, it didn't. I
But
played Tactics A1 and A2 and beat them all with essentially the starting lineup you got.
So, I mean, but the thing is...
That's your gameplay style. I played mostly with Vieira, archers, hunters. I liked entrapment. It's the same way you play like
But I guess
World
that-
of Warcraft. You pick your play style. Saying that you beat it with the starting rosters,
Yeah,
fine,
but,
if you're not
even with
fully
World of
aggro-
Warcraft, you can pick a character and be anything you want to be, whether it's a
okay.
paladin, a hunter, or
catering
whatever.
that-
That's not true. When you play World of Warcraft, your class selection's limited by your race selection.
It is.
That's racist.
Okay.
which still makes
I would
it's
like to
still
make a
good
note
system.
Yeah,
that Final Fantasy 1 is the only game in which you can beat the game with 4 monks.
true. That it is. But it takes you 18 years to find the canoe.
Yes,
Well, you're saying it's by race, but I'm saying if I play NBA Jam, Vladi Divac's not like cartwheel dunking on people. Okay, just putting that out there.
So,
Just saying.
It's 1 point for the NBA Jam reference.
Just saying that.
That's awesome.
That's all I'm saying. It was a hard system to master and even advanced. It took me a long time before I realized changing out your weapon would change the ability you earned.
Yeah.
So I played literally half the game without ever having changed anything. And by the time I went ahead and changed it so they could learn a different skill, I was
You're too late.
Yeah.
yeah. But I was already too high a level.
Yeah, but that was your own mistake. I learned that fairly early on. It was just grinding through all of the all the skills that you had to learn. And even then, it was once I advanced the game while grinding, and then once I hit a point, it was just like I'm gonna put on my best classes and just run through everybody.
But that also is part of what takes us back to the world before the internet, really, where if you didn't pick up a strategy guide,
You didn't know.
it was your own learning curve.
Right.
You had to just figure things out on
That is
your
true.
own, unless you wanted to sit there with a book in front of you. And at that point, that was what the biggest thing from back then playing gaming is that strategy guides were fucking cheating.
Yeah.
You used a strategy guide when you couldn't figure out the game on your own. And
You
you
cheated.
lose cred to use a strategy
AKA
guide.
Dino Crisis.
Yep. No,
Those are
I
Capcom
completely
games.
agree with Spider because when we were all younger, going through middle school, you picked up a freaking Bradley Games strategy guide.
Brady games.
Brady Games, excuse me. They're gone now, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's all Prima or Prima
It's-
now.
Yeah.
you know,
it's
whoever
all-
there,
yeah.
you were done. You were outcast.
Yeah.
That was game over.
I will say the only 2 games I ever got a strategy guide for were both Capcom games. Silent Hill 1, because part of that game was just impossible to figure out without a walkthrough at certain points. And then Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis made no sense 90% of the time. You
Why
could
are we
get
talking about Dino?
We're completely
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
topic at this point.
You lose 2 points for the Dino Crisis.
Good
Alright,
job.
We're gonna go down to the last topic. I'm gonna give you each 1 minute. You have to convince me why your favorite Final Fantasy is the best Final Fantasy,
Oh Lord,
and why I should play that above all.
who are you starting with?
Cecil.
Okay, well,
And go.
all right. Well, of course, my favorite Final Fantasy, what you should play, and I think anybody who's interested in the Final Fantasy should play, is actually Final Fantasy 2 or 4, however you want to look at it. I love 6, but 4 is where you should start. I think it's a great intro into Final Fantasy. It doesn't have the mind-numbingness of the first 3, but it gives you enough. It gives you a great storyline. It gives you a basic storyline where most Americans can get their point across. There, good and evil. That's what Final Fantasy 4 does. Good and evil. That would get any basic American into the franchise to let them play Final Fantasy further. I think
10
it.
seconds left.
I think it's great music, great story, great character development. I think at least you'd be able to relate to one character in that game.
Like it. Time's up. And P-Chan.
Final Fantasy VI. It starts off fighting. You start the entire game with action. And as the story progresses, your characters progress. It's got a great villain. It's got great set pieces. It's a beautiful game, beautiful music. It's got different styles of gameplay. At one point, you play an opera and you have to remember it while saving her from being killed by someone trying to sabotage it. You pilot submarines, airships. You actually have a character who plays as a monk, and you have to learn button combinations to actually unlock his moves. You play as a ninja. You go to a ghost town. You have a villain who actually makes you hate him, who actually does evil things. You have characters that are not hard to get to like, but you feel for them if something happens. It's a game that they don't write anymore. It's an RPG when Square before Enix was actually doing an RPG, an epic, something that you wouldn't mind sitting down and even watching. Not just playing, but watching. It's something for everybody. And if you can get over the fact that it's dated, I'd tell anyone, just watch the game be played. It's just as much fun.
Time. You were right at the money mark. Let's go with D starting now.
Well, I would have to have said 4, but you made a good point, except that I would have to go with 1 if you're going to want to get into this game, because it is the original. It is still fairly hard. Even though you're restricted in your classes, the storyline is, it's very simplistic, but it's also, you have the basis of what pretty much every other Final Fantasy game has been based off of: 4 crystals, the 4 elements, that kind of stuff, and finding things is annoying. But if you're also going to get one, don't necessarily play the original. I would probably more recommend playing the GBA version, the Dawn of Souls version, because of the expanded dungeons, which gives you tons of more gameplay. It gives you more to focus on than just going, I want to go beat Chaos. And in the game, it allows you to expand on that and go get the best weapons before you go crush Chaos. So I would have to say 1.
Spider.
My problem here is that my favorite Final Fantasy is not the one that I think is the best. 8 is my favorite. I think it's absolutely worth playing. It does have a cool little card game in it. Triple Triad, I think, is the best of the little mini games that they've put into Final Fantasy games. I like the characters. They all have very unique personalities. They are very much larger than life in the games. Whether it's Zell's hyperactive bouncing around the whole time, or Selphie's cute little expressions that she makes, or Squall just being angsty as all hell, and Quistis being condescending. Great villains in it. I mean, Raijin, Fujin, Cypher, Ultimecia, Griever. Love Griever. The junctioning system has a learning curve to it. A lot of people hate on the junctioning system, but it's so powerful once you get to learn to use it right. Learning where to junction your spells to make.
Wow.
Yeah, minute's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Unless you're used to a minute.
Another topic for another time.
It feels like longer when you're having to listen to these guys drone on.
Oh.
I'm gonna take 1 point away for that. Just because I can.
Fine.
Ooh.
Oh.
Because they don't matter anyway.
Yeah. Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
So what we got?
I'm gonna wrap this up basically by saying after all of your arguments, you all have basically said that even though you still disagree, Final Fantasy VI is still probably the one you should start with. Because you've given it the best music, you gave it the best. I agreed. Well, I agree with as far as the best music as far as your arguments are concerned, the best story as your arguments were concerned, and the general consensus was you didn't argue very much over 6, not a lot of it. So I'm gonna give the nod to 6. But as the score sits, Spider, 22 points, not bad. Cecil, 14. What happened to you? D, 19. Not bad, not bad. And P-Chan, 22 points.
Ooh.
But you had a -1. P-Chan had a -2. So that, on the first episode of Circle of Jerks, that makes Spider our winner.
Woo!
All right.
You see what
Feel-
happened? You see that,
feels
right? You
good.
mention a Capcom game, you lose points.
Now, while we're on the subject, should you lose points for mentioning a Capcom game?
Exactly.
Yes.
I only lost points for discrediting the other people.
And I lost points for dropping a bomb, literally.
I was going to bring that up. But D did it to himself again.
Oh, quick
So-
shout out to the only Final Fantasy game that didn't get mentioned through all of this. 9.
No, 3.
3 didn't get
3
12.
didn't get mentioned.
Well, no, we did mention
12.
12.
We did have a discussion about
3.
3 got mentioned in passing. 9 didn't get mentioned at all.
No.
I don't.
And the
think
thing is,
anyway.
I'll be the only one in the room that actually liked playing 9.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I like playing 12. People are gonna hate on me for that one too.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
I like Kingdom Hearts.
Hey, Kingdom Hearts.
Anyhow, this has been an episode of Circle of Jerks with the Ninja Legion.
The Ninja Legion.
Thank you for joining us, guys. Hope to see you again. I'm Cecil Blade.
I'm D.
I'm P-Chan.
I'm Spider.
Good night.
Captain.
And the captain, who you can't see because he's out of camera.
Oh,
Captain, man, Captain.
Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.